Today we are discussing about a concept called as Spring Boot profiles. So what it is Spring Boot profiles. So what is a profile or what is a Spring Boot profile? What is the importance of Spring Boot profile in day-to-day application point of view? We will try to understand. Okay. Okay. So before entering into profiles concept, we have to understand some few things like how exactly a project being implemented, developed or as well as deployed, tested and delivered and made it as a live. So these are all details we have to understand in an organization perspective. So that means in general, whenever we created a project, so what will happen in every software organization is generally client will have, so client will come up with a requirement. So he wants some project, so he will come up with the requirements. So that means what will happen? Requirements. Yeah. So client will come up with requirements. Now what we used to do from that requirements, we will try to analyze that requirements and we'll make some design. We'll make some design. Design means what has to be implemented, how application looks like, okay, what buttons has to be functional, so what how it looks like, I mean what are the functionalities we have to carry out, what and all, how login has to be done. Okay, these are all design things we'll implement from the requirements based on the business requirement point of. Then again what we will start as a developer point of view, then we will start doing the development. From that analysis, requirement analysis, design and everything point of view, what we used to do, we used to do the development, right? So we used to do the development. Once as a developer we are done with development, what we used to do, we used to submit. So then testing team coming into the picture. So in general what will happen, the QA team, quality assurance team, or usually testing team, like that we used to call QA team or testing team. So they will coming into the picture and they will test the functionalities. They will start testing the functionalities as a developer what being developed. So the developers whatever is okay developed, those are all functionalities being tested by the QA team. And everything is good. What QA team is do? QA team will provide an approval like QA team will provide an approval like okay. So everything is good. Then they'll give approval so that then it will make deployed. Deployed means we are making it as a release, releasing the products or releasing the application. Nothing but making the application is live. Application live means now it is actually released into the market level. So that means released into in the sense that's what now the application is ready to use the software application by the real purpose or real customers whatever it is. This is the basic scenario or basic flow of a project phases. So client come up with requirements, we will analyze it, we will make a design and we will develop it, and testing team will test it, and then finally we will hand over that product to the client. Nothing but now the client will make that product is live. Live means everybody can use that product by accessing that domain URL or whatever it is. Now it's ready to use by the users. Users are customers. So ready to use by either customers or user. So this is a short and sweet point of view. I just okay given this point, but in reality, in every organization, so it's not that much easy. Just like what we given here it is. So there are some development time and testing time, and as well as releasing to the public or releasing to the live, making it as live point of view. We have some scenarios. We have to follow some way of development approaches, testing approaches, all these things. Okay. So what and all, let's try to understand first. This is more important, especially people who would like to try a job on an experience also. It will give a lot of knowledge this session. So try to understand. See here more you have to understand how things are happening in an organization project point of view. Then only profiles you can understand. Okay, it's a very simple thing. It's not that much programming concept. It's just like configuration part. Profiles is nothing but before that we have to understand this concept. Okay, so now what I said here, if you take in this scenario, step number one point of view, design to development, right? Okay, fine. Now, whenever developers, okay, fine. So developers coming into the picture now. So whenever developers, maybe it is 10 developers, 20 developers, or whoever it is, okay, as part of the team, what we will do, we will start doing the development based on the requirement point of view. And all 10 developers code, see, for example, now if I take in developer 1, developer 2, developer 3, developer 4, like that, all are developers. So now developer 1, developer 2, developer 3, etc., etc., like that. Assume you are having so many developers. Now, now developer 1 is working on functionality called as something like login point of view. Developer 2 working on the something like sign up registration point of view. Developer 3 is working on something like change password related functionalities point of view. Like that, different developers working on different functionalities, different requirements as part of that product. Now, my point here it is, when developer 1 is working on the login functionality, okay, and developer 2 is working on the registration functionality, developer 3 is working on password functionality, like that, different people working on different functionalities on their own computers. Where? In the same own computers. Own computers means in the personal computer point of view. Now, how we are going to make sure these are all developers, whatever is implemented continuously are developing, whatever these developers are developing the things, okay, individually, I have to consolidate all these things as a single application point of view every time, because everybody is working on the same project, but different developers working on the different piece of area, different requirement point of view, right? So now how we are going to consolidate everyone's work here it is. Generally what we will do, we will make a repository called as, I think we can consider GitHub, source code repository management. Okay, source code repository management point of view, what we used to do is, so here we will create a repository. So for example, assume the project name is like Facebook or whatever it is. Now what you will create, a repository you will create here it is. See, whether it is a front end, back end, full stack, whatever it is, this whatever I am explaining right now is a generic across all technologies, all programming languages. And most of the organizations will have same approach only. Okay, what we will do, we will create a repository. Repository is nothing but a source code point of view. Now what all the developers will always, okay, once they are implemented their requirement and everything is good, once they are tested in their own computers, what they will do is, if everything is working, they'll make the code is available in single place called as GitHub level. In the repository level, they will push all their code. They will push their code. So that means now all the developer source code is available under one single project in the GitHub level. In the GitHub level. So that is how all developers code is being maintained at single location as called as a repository, GitHub repository. Now all the source code, all developers requirement point of view, whatever they implemented, all of the features source code is available inside the, okay, all the data available here it is, right? Okay, so now finally what we understood here it is, somehow all developers will make, whenever they are implemented their code and everything is good, so every developer will make sure somehow the code is available in single place. So all 10 developers will have access to this repository and everyone will make their code is, okay, pushing in this area. So it is available in the Facebook repository in the GitHub level. Okay, fine, that is cool. Now in this case again, as a developer, point number one. So as a developer perspective, first point of view, if I am taking developer perspective, if I want to know, if I want to see, or if I want to test whatever it is, all other functionalities. For example, as a Dilip, I am working on the login functionality. I worked on login functionality. but rest of my colleagues worked on other functionalities. Now I want to test all these functionalities also. All these functionalities together with respect to latest today point of view. I want to test all other, I mean, I don't need to test. I want to see all other developers source code or all other developers features what they are being implemented. I want to test with respect to my functionalities or whatever it is. Then what I have to do it, so that I can download this code into my computer. I mean, download in the sense GitHub point of view, cloning, and I can, okay, test in my local computer. I can test in local computer. That is one scenario. Okay, this is Dilip point of view. This is Dilip point of view. Now, same idea will be available for other developers also, right? So, same thing should happen for other developers also. They would like to see all other features along with their own features point of view. That means every developer has to do same kind of activity usually. Okay, that's fine. In every personal, in every developer will have same thing in their own computers. Fine, that is okay. But the point is, we don't have a control sometime, okay, out of all the futures of all the developers, because it's a continuous process. Developing the things means every day, every hour, every half an hour, every 5 minutes, someone else will implement something and they will keep on pushing the code here. They are keep on pushing the code. How do you know that? As a Dilip, as a single developer, how do I know that all other developers, okay, what developers are doing what developers are pushing what code into the main repository level? Like, I don't have a control. I don't have a control, right? So that means I can't get every time the latest code from the repository every 5 minutes, every 5 seconds. I can't get it, and I can't make local in my local computer level all the features are available as part of this project. It's very difficult. That's why what people will do is, from this, what we used to do is, okay, we will create so one environment called as dev environment. So what is the dev environment? Here it is. So we used to create an environment called as development environment. So in real-time projects, what we used to do is, the first step is we will create a development environment. In shortcut, we used to call it as dev also. Dev environment, development environment. What here our team will do is, okay, before starting or deploy, creating the projects, first of all, we will make a dev environment is created. What is the meaning of dev environment is, it's not related to a single developer. It's common for all the developers. So they will create some, okay, assume nowadays cloud, right? Okay, let's take cloud point of view. So in a cloud environment level, what they used to do is, they will make some space available for all the developers. Okay, I mean, I cannot say like that. What these guys will do is, at the DevOps engineer point of view, sometimes DevOps engineers will do all these things. They will create a server, a space for us, for the developer perspective. And what they will do is, whenever any developer pushed some code to this repository, okay, then what they used to do generally is, they will automate sometimes. It is automatically deployed into so and so cloud environment level, and assume they given host name like this, dev-facebook.com. Like that, they'll this routing and all, generally DevOps team, all these things will do, whatever, whoever it is. Now what is this? This is the environment which contains always the latest code, okay, built. So it is built and then deployed, and then deploy. So the latest code is already always deployed in this environment. So here what people will do is, here we will maintain one specific database also. So dev database, a common single database, whatever the developer point of view, logics, whatever we are implementing, a database will implement. And every developer will have access. See, in real-time projects, when you join into any organization, you know that every application will have 100% database, right? But it doesn't mean like in every developer computer you will install, okay, we are going to install our own database and we are going to make sure all the tables which are created by other developers, our developers, we are going to maintain in the sync in our own computers. No, it's not like that, guys. Generally, what is the easy process people will do is they will create a database. Okay, the database team, they will create a database, and they will give this database access to all the developers. They will give this database access to all the developers. So every developers will have access to this database, guys. So that means tomorrow once you join into any organization and we are working as part of any project, never ever your computer, okay, your local computer point of view, that means the computer what you got, the laptop what you got, okay, in that laptop you will never ever install anything related to database. So they will create a centralized database in a, okay, network environment, cloud environment, or whatever it is, in a networking zone. And what, some Oracle, MySQL, whatever it is. Yeah, sorry. So that access being provided to all the developers. So that means all 10 developers are having access to the same centralized database only, only single database. We will have single database, okay, and that access is going to provide it to the developers. So that's why I said when I'm teaching the Spring Boot JPA, if you are making what that DDL auto property, if you are using that property, there is a chance of getting deleted all the tables, means that's what. Every developer will not have their own database in their own computer. Never ever it will happen. So you will have common database which is in the networking zone, that for your user ID they'll give you the access. That's all. That means you will get access to this same database. All developers are having same database access from their source code point of view. And simply from every computer, every developer in their Eclipse point of view, what we used to do with our own credentials or database credentials, we'll give host name, all these things in our generally here, right? So here we will give that, like here we will give like JDBC colon Oracle localhost place. They will give some host names. That is all and all they will give it. Like facebook.com, AMRS, something like that. They'll give something else. You don't worry about it. They will provide you. You don't need to worry about what is this and all. So it will be given by them. So like that, you will give the host names and everything, and you will give username passwords instead of our local host. Then what it will happen, the moment you given host names or whatever it is, it will go to that centralized DB, and it from your system, your source code is connecting to that database. Your source code is connecting to that database, because this time you don't have uh, database in your computer. In any project, it will not happen. You will always connect it to the dev database. So it's only for the developer perspective. They will create a database and they will give it to us. So we have to handle with this database carefully. And every developer source code is connected to this database. Internally in their Eclipse workspace level, they will provide all these host names and everything, so that it will connect automatically. So that it will connect to that database based on that, whatever it is, like that. They will do that. Okay. So this is how a database will be maintained. Okay, in a project development point of view, don't think like in your computer they will install the database so that your local code will work connected to your local database. No, it's a centralized database for all the developers. If you are having 20 developers, 30 developers, 40 developers, for everyone same database only, single database. That's why if you have done any mistake on the computer, I mean anything committed on the database, that will impact to entire, not to your local computer, or not to your local database. No, it's not like that. So that's why be careful when you are doing the database operations in the real-time projects. Think always twice, cross-check always twice. You are not impacting only your local, you are impacting the entire. So that is okay, fine. So that means, okay, now assume database is also created in the development environment point of view. Like that, we will, what these guys will do is, they'll pick up all this, okay, they'll get some jar file or war file. Maybe if it is a Spring Boot, internally jar file, and right. So they'll make sure the Facebook application, whatever being developed, right? They will start that application being deployed, that is being deployed in this specific environment point of view. That is being deployed in this specific environment point of view. So now that means what will happen here it is, if a developer committed code, I mean he worked on some functionality, something like some payment functionality. Okay, he tested everything in his local computer, he written the code, he tested from the postman and everything is good. Then he committed, he pushed the code or he committed the code to the this repository. Then what will happen immediately with the latest code of all the developers? Okay, here you have source code, right? It will be built and it is deployed on the dev computer. So that now what developers will do? Developers, you no need to make every time your local computer point of view worrying about all other developers what they implemented. Okay, what and all, you no need to worry. Simply you are already have a centralized, okay, in a cloud environment level, you are already have a centralized, okay, centralized deployment environment. So I mean you are already have a centralized environment. So now simply what developers will do is developers will access the application by using this URL. So this is only for the developer perspective. So this is the dev environment. Now similarly, what I said next step, okay, developer point of view, you have a private environment for all the developers will access here. All the source code every time deployed into this environment, and that application you will access by using this kind of URLs. Okay, as a developer point of view. Now, next step, what I said in this case, okay, once development is completed, frequently what we used to do is we will hand over that whatever the functionalities we implemented, features we implemented, we will hand over to the testing team. Hey, testing team, we implemented till today login, registration, password, and payment, 4 functionalities. Can you test like this? So now that means testing team doesn't have any knowledge of coding, Eclipse and all. They don't have it. They don't know anything about. Then where testing team will test this entire functionality. So that means now who is coming into the picture? Testing team coming into the picture. QA team, quality assurance. Okay, or in our point of view, I'm QA team generally. So testing team coming into the picture. Now what these testing team will do? Where how they will test it? They don't have any programming knowledge. They don't know what is a sometimes some programmers even they don't know what is a database also. So that means how they will test it, where they will test it. So that means now I assume some testers are there, five testers are there, whatever it is. 5 members are there. Now each and every member decided like let's test one functionality or whatever it is. It's up to their wish. Now where they will test. So they are going to use same environment for the testing? No. So what that then you can say like sir already we have some kind of in the cloud environment we created dev environment with proper centralized database and everything, right? So testing team will utilize it? No. So in this case what we use today is, see here the ownership comes always with the dev environment. Dev environment ownership is always for the developer perspective. Now testing point of view, what we will do is in a project, when you go to any project, we will create one more environment similar to dev, whatever we created here, right? Similarly, we created one more environment. One more environment means simply guys, in a different server level, again we will create one more database. Same database only, same database, same tables point of view. If it is Oracle, you decided same replica you will create again with database. Assume in this case, for example I given right this one as a host name to the DB point of view. If it is dev, now assume dev hyphen DB something like that. Now here what we will do is they will create okay something like UAT. Okay, I'll tell you what is the UAT also, or generally we will use the environment word called as UAT environment. Okay, UAT DB, something like that. We will give some differentiate name. So that means what we did, we created again a database with Oracle or whatever it is. So we created again one more environment. Simple guys, this is one computer, common server for all the developers. This is again one more location. We are created again one more database, second database. And this time what we are doing is it is dedicated, this environment we will dedicate it to the testing team. This environment ownership is with the this environment always used by the QA team. Always used by QA team. Always used by QA team. So the ownership is always with the QA team. That means testing. So here I created the database, but at the same time, what I have to do? So here the same Facebook application is being deployed. So that means so far whatever the developers we implemented, right, where it is available in the GitHub level. So again, same thing we will build and we'll deploy, and we will give, okay, that Facebook application is deployed here. That Facebook application is deployed here. But one thing is what you have to observe. Assume here DB credentials also I am writing, like dev is the username and password is also like dev only. Something I am just giving very simplification process. And in this case, passwords are username is UAT, password is also UAT, like that. So now the moment you are deploying this into okay QA environment, but username, password, DB credentials are different, right? So earlier it is dev point of view dev, but this time it is a UAT. I mean something host name is different, database itself completely different, credentials are itself completely different. Then how will you manage it? So that means while you are deploying the same source code of project into QA environment, what we have to do? We have to modify or we have to configure database property specific to this environment. Like, okay, we have to override like UAT-DB like that. So then what will happen automatically? Your environment is good. So now what you are doing? You are deploying the same source code with respect to database credentials, okay, into dev and QA environment. Now we will tell to the QA environment, hey QA. So this is developer responsibility, guys. Okay, this is developer responsibility, developer team responsibility. So what develop, because testing team they don't have technical knowledge, right? That's why. So it's all developer team responsibility. It's all developer team responsibility. So now what will happen in this case? Developer will somehow we will make sure DB credentials are got updated to the UAT environment point of view, and we will make that Facebook application is deployed into this environment, and then okay we will inform to the QA team, we will inform to the QA team like yes we deployed Facebook application whatever implemented so far with that 5 features into QA environment, into QA environment. So environment like that we will inform to the QA team. Now what QA team will do? All this testing team. Now they will start testing all the features, whether you return all the scenarios, login, positive, negative scenario, giving special characters, okay, or whatever the test cases. By the time they will ready with test cases, they will prepare their own test cases. Now they will start testing on this environment. So the testing team, now the testing team is performing the real testing on which environment, guys? This QA environment or UAT environment. In this case, UAT is nothing but user acceptance testing. So this is one word people will use, mostly UAT environment like that. User acceptance testing. So user acceptance testing means in this case the idea behind you calling UAT user acceptance, here it is. Their point of view, how a common user, how a real customer, real user. See, for example, I am using the Instagram. For Instagram application, I am the user. I am the customer, right? Whenever we are using Facebook, Gmail, all these applications, we are the users for them. A common users, we are the end users for the Instagram, Gmail, Facebook, whatever you can take. So we are the customers for them. We are the users for them. We are the end users for them. So that means as a user point of view, what are the things we will do in day to day point of view in that application? That kind of testing they will do that. So that's why they are acting as a real users. That is how they are testing the application. That's why it is calling as a user acceptance testing point of view, user point of view they are doing. But anyway, quality assurance, they are checking quality. QA means quality assurance. That means they are checking the quality of development. You written everything properly or not, you handled all the validations or not. Okay, so like that quality testing, when you given same email ID second time, what error you are, what whether error is coming or not, email ID existed like that, is it coming in the red color, blue color, green color, All these things they will test on. Okay, so like kind of thing, quality assurance, quality testing, quality assurance, like that. Okay, now see the point what you have to understand here, it is for the developer point of view we will have a dedicated environment. For testing point of view we will have a dedicated environment. Now developer, when developer would like to do some development experiments, yes, as a developer definitely we will do some experiments, right? In the development phase I want to create a new table, I want to add a new column based on my requirement point of view, whatever it is, where we will do, we will always operate on the dev environment only. We should not touch the UAT environment. We should not utilize the UAT environment, because that UAT environment is always only for the purpose of testing team. They have to utilize that. They will do testing always in this environment. If you are disturbing this environment, then testing team will get, okay, the results will differ, the results will mismatch. So that's why we should not use the QA environment or UAT environment for the purpose. That is how testing team will do that. Now, okay, now testing point of view, what I said, once everything is good, your product developers, okay, now after that testing team is, while testing you will get the defects. So definitely you will get the defects. Testing team will raise the defects, bugs or defects. Okay, when while they are doing what they will encounter, they will find defects, or it's called as bugs also. So what they will do, they will say like, hey Dilip, when I given second time same email ID on the user registration, it is giving user account created, but expected is email ID is already existed. Like that, some kind of defects. Okay, whatever it is. So now what they will do, these defects again they will assign back to the developers. They will inform to the developers like, hey, we created so many defects, whatever you implemented so far, out of that we tested everything, but we found lot of defects, like that they will give. So then what we will do, we will verify these defects. If it is really defect, then again we will make code changes according to that. And again what we will do is, we will make sure everything is good, like we will test, we will deploy into dev environment once after making the code changes for these defects, and we will test it. If everything is good, then what we will do is, we will promote it to the UAT environment. So that means, that is called as promoting also. Sometimes people will call it as promote. So that means you from your side, your everything is good, then you are promoting to the UAT environment, and then you will inform to the UAT environment like, sorry, QA team like, hey QA, you given so and so defect, right? I fixed the defect and I made code changes deployed on your environment. Can you please start validating now? Now what QA team will do is, yes, they will verify the defect is working in the with your latest code changes or not. If it is working, they will close the defect. So, but they are doing puff testing always on the UAT environment. They will never touch your dev environment. As a developer, you should not do, okay, experiments or making disturbing their, okay, things, their database data. You should not do that. So for them it is reserved. Even though you have access, you should not do anything on the UAT environment. For you already dev is there, like that. Okay, that is cool. Now next, what I said, releasing to the live. Live means now it's the application completely developed and it's ready to release today, so that customers can start using the application. Customers can start using the application. So in such case, what we will do? Are we going to release this data? I mean this. So that means generally in this case, assume the URL is like this: uat-facebook.com. uat-facebook.com. So UAT point of view. So that means, are we going to release this environment to the, are we going to provide access to the public on this environment itself? Means no. What we will do is, here on a super power computer, okay, on a high level, high end configuration computers point of view, because see here as a 10 20 developers we are testing, 10 15 developers are testing, or overall 20 30, but the application being used by thousands of customers, millions of customers. That means what these guys will do is, they will create again same environment. Okay, they will purchase database license and everything, and they will deploy on a supercomputer. Nothing but that is what servers. We used to say like Google server down, Instagram server down. So that means in the product. So here they are creating a live environment now. So again, what they will do, they will deploy. They will deploy a database here again. So again, it is a database. So in this case, database point of view again, the URL will be different. Like something like, so I'll tell you what is the meaning of prod. Prod something like, I'm just giving the simple things. Facebook.com, something like that. They will have their own database and their credentials. They will maintain very secret credentials, username, something like password, like that. They will maintain some username password point of view. Okay. Now similarly, what the source code is common in this case. What we will do is in this case again, we will deploy that Facebook application here also. So when these things will happen, once everything is tested, there are no defects, everything is working as based on the requirement point of view, then we will make something like we are okay. The same application is available on the another environment. It is called as production environment. Production means what, guys? Generally, you know, right? Production plants, bicycle production plant. So if you go to the any what it is industries, they will do production. Production means what? Producing the real objects. Car manufacturing in it. That means they are making production of cars. So that means it's a live environment. It's a live. So like that. So that is what it is called as production environment. Production means it's a live now. That is what the real application. That means now if I can say like if I'm using anything, okay. So if I'm using Instagram, so whatever the URL I'm accessing instagram.com, Dilip IT Academy, whatever it is, right? Now the request is going to which environment? Production environment. The request is going to the here. So now the environment URL they made like this. Assume facebook.com. So see, this is what the URL they made finally. Now what they are doing is they are deploying that application. They made database tables and everything configured in this database. Everything based. See, whatever the tables available in the dev, you made in the UAT, right? Whatever available in the UAT, same table, same columns, everything you created and you deployed the scripts or whatever it is. Finally, you make your environment is ready in the production level. Now what you will do is you will announce to the customers. You will announce to the customers, yes, today we launched the Facebook application. Please start using it. So it is launched. It is launched, and so start using it. Like that, you are releasing to the public. Now public will start registering their accounts and they are uploading the photos and everything. That entire story is happening on this environment level. So that means from the UAT, it is moved to the production, promoted to the production environment. So now this is the live environment and this is the real environment with respect to customer point of view. So this is how in every organization things will happen, guys. From last 12 years I am doing, and everywhere, any company, wherever you go. So these kind of environments we will maintain, this kind of layers we will maintain when you are making development, testing, and as well as releasing. Three major important developers will have developer environments, and testing team will have their own environment. Production real live environment point of view or production environment point of view, we will have our own. I mean, we will create a separate environment. But the problem here it is, if you observe here, what is this, guys? Sometimes DB data is changing from one environment to another environment. So that means what's happened, what you observed from this environment. This is the scenario of every project development phases in every organization, everywhere. Okay. So, but the point here it is, if I'm taking a small example with respect to DB, from production UAT dev to UAT, UAT to production, the data is completely changed, right? So if you taken the DB, it is dev. This is dev. And if I taken UAT, this is UAT. This is UAT. And if you taken this production, this is production. So that means different environments, different data. Okay, logic wise same. See, in the three tables level, assume some users table is there. Everywhere same table structure, same table name, same column names, everything same. Tables wise, syntaxes wise, everything. There should not be any difference. Same replica. That's what I said. Only thing is host names are different. Okay, you are buying a okay, host name is different. That's all. Host names and passwords are different. Host name is different, passwords are different, like that. Now, how will you manage these three environments data in a real-time application when you are deploying your applications into environment? How dynamically you will manage this configuration information? If with respect to database I given, but tomorrow when you join into application, not only this, you will have lot of other information also, lot of other information. Okay, with respect to emails, email configurations, yes. So email servers will be there again. Tomorrow you are receiving emails, right? So that emails point of view also you will have email servers. So in this case also what people will do, email servers also for development point of view we will use development email server. So similarly UAT point of view UAT email server we will use, and production point of view production one we will use. Okay, something like dev hyphen smtp dot email dot com, something like that. They'll give some credentials. Okay, dev something whatever. Now if I taken same information again with respect to UAT, it's a UAT point of view. It's all testing point of view, like something like UAT hyphen SMTP dot email dot com, something like that, and then they are giving credentials UAT like that. It's a just like a lower environment systems. Okay, I'll tell you that what is lower environment also. So this is why you will have it. Now production point of view, yes. Generally millions of customers will be there. So millions of emails will trigger every time from my application. So I'll make some okay something like whatever it is prod hyphen smtp email.com or whatever it is like prod email or whatever it is credentials they will maintain. Now see, with respect to DB data is changing, with respect to email servers data is changing from one environment to another environment. Then how will you manage this again? So how you are going to manage this different types of data? See, source code wise same, source code wise same, logic wise same, everything is same. But sometimes configuration data is changing from one environment to another environment, one environment to another environment. See, some of the organizations will maintain one more environment, guys. That is called as SIT environment. Okay, so few projects will maintain like dev environment is the first, and second environment is a sit, but these two ownership will be with the developers. Okay, sit they will maintain, and then UAT environment, and then UAT environment, and then production environment. Okay, so that means first dev environment coming into the picture from dev, sit to UAT production. Like that we will do that. So development, dev is nothing but development, sit I'll tell you, sit and UAT and prod. Okay, so here the ownership, this two generally people will use developers only. Okay, so developers point of view, SIT is nothing but system integration testing. SIT stands for system means software integration. Whatever you implemented so far, right? Sometimes why we will maintain two layers in this case is, see, what I said earlier, developers will do experiments on the dev database or dev environment level. Yes, as a developer, we have to do that. Otherwise, how do we implement the real time application? We can't, we have to test, right? So that means we can send valid data, invalid data, and all. So that means sometimes this dev environment is frequently used by every developer. So that means you may not, so that's why what we used to do is we will create one more backup environment or one more environment called as system. So that means all developers code generally usually they'll push here and they will do testing and everything, not pushing, they will do all of the experiments with respect to validation of the logic, sending requests, receiving responses, sending unused data, whatever it is kind of thing, we will do experiments. We need, okay, as a developer we also want sometimes some stable version, stable environment. Okay, so that's why what we will do is, so few projects will, if they are having more budget, see, simple, it's all about budget again. If they are having more money and they want more stability, more they are ready to go with the process, they'll create sit environment. So same thing again. So that means you will have again fourth database, sit database also with sit credentials. So different environment, different data. Then how will you manage all this data when you are deploying your the same single project? Source code wise, you are maintaining only one. No, you are not saying like, no, I'm not saying like this Facebook GitHub level, the project, I'll create one for okay, dev environment, one for production, one for UAT. No, it's not like that. So that in every repository level, I'll give these values so that automatically, no, it's not like that. I am maintaining only one repository, single repository. But the same single repository, whenever it is deploying on the dev, it has to pick up dev details, dev DB details. Automatically, this has to be done. Whenever I am deploying in the UAT, it has to pick up UAT information, whether it is a DB information, email information. Whenever I deploy it on the production, it has to pick up the production information. So how will you automate this? This is the biggest challenge at one point of time before Spring Boot and before Spring, or maybe 15, 20 years back also. Okay, maintaining configuration information of this data specific to environment is the biggest challenge. For that, people used to take a lot of other alternatives approaches. Okay, so writing some shell scripts or whatever it is, lot of alternatives approaches they used to follow, so that whenever you deployed on the dev, it will pick up only dev environment credentials. If you are deploying on the, see, host names are different. Okay, so this is a different computer, this is a different computer, this is a different computer. So that is how when you are deploying on the dev, it has to pick up dev data automatically. It has to pick up UAT, it has to pick up prod if when you are deploying on the prod. So how will you manage this configuration data dynamically? Everything is there. Now I'm deploying on the UAT environment. My project so my managers, okay, so simply I'm deploying on the UAT environment, my source code. What it has to pick up UAT credentials, UAT DB credentials, UAT email credentials, but not my local host or but not dev. How will you do that? So that is the where this profiles is helping us as this profiles concept is helping us like anything. So that is where this profiles concept is helping us now. Okay. So that means what we understood, every software application when you are working in this organization will have many environments, especially like software application will have many environments like dev, sit, UAT or QA, both are same, and prod. Okay, sit dev is all about developers. Sit is also similar to dev only, and UAT QA prod. Okay, let's take only three environments. If it is 3 or 300, both are same, right? So I'll maintain like this. UAT prod. Then four different environments, four different credentials with respect to emails, with respect to database, with respect to Kafka servers, so on so so on so so on so so on so. Different environments, different data. But I want to make sure dynamically the data, the configuration data being replaced when I'm deploying on the dev has to pick up like that. So what you have to do now? Okay, so now let's see here how profiles is helping us now. See, let me do one thing. Bring both profiles. I want to open the official document once and then we'll go to the programming point of view. Okay. So see here what they are saying. Spring profiles provided a way to segregate. That is what I'm trying to say. Segregate parts of your application configuration. That's what I'm telling you guys. So what I said, keep on saying here it is the configuration information. This is all configuration. See, if you go to this property name will never ever will change. Spring dot application data source dot URL is the property name everywhere, whether it is a UAT prod. Only thing is value will change. If it is dev. If it is UAT, and credentials will become like UAT. And if it is prod, when I'm deploying on the prod, automatically it has to pick up prod a host name and it has to pick up all prod URL prod username and prod password and everything. It has to be done every time automatically. So how do I do that? That is what my point. And it should be done only one time. It should not like no no sir, I'll replace every time when I'm deploying into production UAT. No, it's not good process. So you have to do automatically this data has been picked up, configuration data. Okay, so for that, this profiles is helping. Not only with respect to configuration data, we'll come back later with respect to bean classes also I'll come back. Especially that is the point I would like to bring here it is. Okay, at the rate profile I will come back. That is the next step. Okay, leave it. Okay, you understood anyway, high level point of view. Now, how to implement this Spring Boot profiles with respect to properties configuration point of view, we'll try to understand. Let me give you a few more points. Yeah, for each environment, for each environment configuration data segregation, we can use profiles in Spring Boot. We can use Spring Boot. So it's not about only configuration data. Okay, once you are done with configuration data, I'll show you something with respect to bean objects also. Okay, with respect to bean objects also. So I'll cover that scenario, that use case later. But whatever the use case I explained you right now, that is the primary use case. So let's see how we are going to segregate this by using profiles point of view. Let's see here. Let me create a project. Spring Starter project. So Spring Boot profiles. Okay, I'm taking Lombok, DevTools, Oracle driver, Spring Boot, actuator. Okay, actuator you don't need. Web we will take. JP also I'll take. Validation and all. If you apply or not, it's okay. Okay, so project got created. Yeah, it's getting created. Give me a second. Okay, so now my project is created. Usually, what we used to do. Mhm. Give me a second. I'll copy paste. Okay, so this is what generally we used to do with respect to our local point of view and all. See, in my computer, I don't have four databases, guys. But in place of databases, I'll prove you. I'll show you somehow how it is picking based on the environment point of view. I'll prove that. Okay. Okay. Let's start first of all our application. As of now, there is no profile so involved. Let's see here now. Okay. So your application is getting started with port number 9999 payment API, whatever it is. Okay, fine. I'll make it as API. Okay, fine. So now let's come back to the profiles, how you are going to configure this data based on the environment point of views. Now, first of all, what you have to identify is how many environments you are maintaining. Okay, I maintain total four. So that means I can maintain, that means four environments. Total, I have four environments. In my application deployment, development level, we are involving four environments. Dev, Sit, UAT, prod like that. Okay, fine. Now, in this case, I can select four profiles are existing. Four profiles. What it is? Dev, sit, UAT, and prod. Okay, dev, UAT, sit, UAT, prod. Okay, so what I am doing here, it is step number one. Create another properties file. Another properties file. See, if it is YAML file, another YAML file, guys. Okay, so whatever it is, extension is different and format is. Create another properties file. Okay, with profile name. Okay, with profile name. With profile name. So that means the syntax I'll give you, based on that you have to do that. So the syntax point of view, what I'm trying to say here, it is. Okay, sorry. Before that, I'll show you one more point. I forgot to show you that. Let's see here. First, I'll show you something. You started our Spring Boot application, right? As of now, there is no profiles. We are not involved in any profiles. If you observe the first or second line, I think somewhere else. If you observe here, second line, oh, what is this? Okay. So if you observe this second line, I think, yeah, second line, what is this, guys? No active profile set falling back to default profile called as default. So this is what we are learning today. This is what no active profile set falling back to the default profile default. What is the default profile? I'll tell you. So you will see that. Don't worry. Okay, let me copy this line. This is important line. I don't want everything. This is a statement you saw, right? When you started without profiles, you saw like no active profile set. So what I'm trying to say right now is we have to create another properties file with profile name. How to create it is generally our default file name is what application.properties. This is default one. This is default one. This is the default one. Whenever we created Spring Boot application, by default application.properties file is the default one. Now with respect to profile point of view, what you have to do is syntax point of view. Default properties file name. Okay. With respect to syntax of properties file point of view, what is the syntax is? I'm writing C here application hyphen profile name dot properties. So what you have to do is application you have to keep as it is and hyphen will segregate the profile name. So here hyphen and profile name you have to give. So that means application hyphen the profile name. Let's make it in lowercase. Generally we will give properties file names always in the lowercase. So dev dot properties. So what you did, now you created a single property file application hyphen dev dot properties. So let me create it now. So same resources folder, new file application hyphen dev dot properties. Okay. So now total how many property files I have means two I have. One is application dot properties. Second one is application hyphen dev dot properties. Now here I'll keep all the properties related to the dev database. So whatever it is, which are changing from one environment to another environment, I'll keep the data here. So for example, I'll write like dev hyphen localhost, something like dev hyphen db hyphen localhost. Okay, and I'll write like dev hash Dilip. See, I'm just giving random things. With this, it will not, but I'll show you that dev something like that. So I'm giving some segregated information. So this is dev environment. Okay, fine. Now, if you want again UAT environment, what you have to do is you have to create again one more file, application hyphen with profile name. See here, profile names becoming dev UAT. Total how many profile files I created now? Total two I created so far. One is dev, one is UAT. So here I am giving in the UAT point of view, UAT DB, and I'm giving credentials also as a UAT something like that. So if you observe here, in my default application.properties file, I have correct validate good things, whatever it is. Now assume development point of view, dev properties file point of view, application hyphen dev. I given dev details, dev hyphen db. Even I can write one user defined property also, like something like contact dot email equal to dev at the rate dilipit.com. So this is with respect to dev. If it is UAT point of view, I am writing UAT point of view. File like production also. Production point of view, you can give any profile name, guys. Shortcuts generally I'm giving prod. Now what is total? How many profile files you created? Three profiles. Dev, prod, UAT. Open the prod. Okay, give some information. Predefined prod, prod. And here I'm giving simply like contact at the rate dilip.it. So like that I given. So if you observe here, in the default one also, I'll give something like same property name, but data is different. I'll give this one also. Actually, these things you will get the error. I know that because this DB data host names we don't have, right? That's why I'm taking some user defined property to prove that. Okay, why I taken here? Yeah, here I'm just giving like something local, whatever it is, local at the rate dilip.it.com, whatever it is. Okay. So this is how you can configure your data. Now one more thing I'll ask you guys in this case. Assume I would like to maintain port APA context path. Understand the point. Context path is same in all environments. Same in all environment. So then what you have to do is, now my point is this context path. Slash API should be common in everywhere, even port number also. I fix it like that. Whether it is a dev, UAT, production, wherever it go, these two data is common. Then you no need to define again in the specific to profile one. So why I'll tell you. We'll come back to that use case. Okay, so that use case I just noted down, right? We will come back to that. So a lot of use cases I'll ask. We'll come back to with a lot of use cases. That means simple point of view here it is. I can give heading like config data is same across all environments or all profiles. All environment. Then what you have to do? Kind of use case. So right now we are taking one more use case is specific to environment. That is what config data is specific to environment. That means one environment to another environment value is changing. That is what use case. So how to achieve all these things? We will see that. Okay. So fine. Now I somehow I configured all my data and all. That's okay. Now let me start my application one more time. See, it's not at all worrying about. Okay, let me do one thing. Go to my project. I'll write some class So I'm writing just a component class. So it's a component class and I'm using, right, at the rate value annotation we can use, right? At the rate value annotation we can use private string email ID. Lombok. So here I'm using at the rate value annotation. So don't ask me what is value annotation. We are already done with this. Okay, what I can give. So for example, I want to get this property name value automatically. So here I'm writing like that. Contact that email. So then you will get it. Second thing is what I will do is how do I prove it? Okay, let me write a controller class, some test controller. I want to show you all the details. At the rate rest controller, public void send email or whatever it is, just some rough at the rate get mapping, just so at the rate value. Even you don't need this one also. I can directly access wherever I want. Here also I can access. So this sort of so what I'm doing sending email to what is that email ID? Contact email ID. Something I written just a dummy REST service. Okay. Now see here. Now my application got started, right? Let me trigger this endpoint now. Localhost. What is the endpoint? 9999/API, right? 9999/API/test. Okay. So empty. My point of view, just observe here. What is the value it is picking up, guys? Local at the rate dilipit.com. So if you go here, application.property level, what I given? Same value. So that means as of now, we are not involved in properties, I mean profiles. So whenever I started, default profile is nothing but, understand the point now. So you saw a point here, right? No active profile picking from the default. So default is nothing but when you are not given any profiles. As of now, we are not given anything, right? So by default, it will look always into application.properties. So what is the point you have to understand here? It is note if you are not provided any profile name. So how to provide? I'll give you. Okay, just we created only uh, configuration data, but we are not activated. So how to activate it? I'll give you that. If you are not provided any profile, then Spring Boot will consider it as a default profile. So in interviews, they will ask you what is the if I am not giving any profile, what will happen? Default profile. So the moment if it is a default profile, it will pick up the default properties file called as application.properties. Understand the point? Application.properties. It is picking data from the application.properties. So that's why what happened. Even I can write this one here. String sent email to, like this. Okay, so go to the here. Now see here. So you got local. That's okay. So that means by default it is speaking from here. Now how to activate the profile? We step number one, we created the profiles. Now assume activation of profiles. Now I'm assume I want to run my application on the dev environment. So the moment I said like dev environment, which profile data it has to pick, dev profile, it has to pick dev profile information, dev profile information. So if you go to the dev profile file, you given what guys? Only DB credentials and as well as contact at the rate contact.email.com, right? Now, how to activate the dev profile? So if you are not given anything, by default it is taking default one. The how to activate it is, there are multiple ways you can activate it. Is one way I'll give you first approach is, first approach I'll just give you. Okay, first approach is you have to give a special property, add below property in application.properties. What it is go to the application.properties. So here you have to give one property name called as spring.active dot profile, profiles.active or something is there. Yeah, I think profiles.active. Profiles. Yeah. So this is what you have to give. What is this? Spring.profiles.active. Here you have to give the profile name. So what I given now, this is the one. So which property you would like to add? Okay, load the data, which environment, I mean, which profile level that you can give dev. Okay, so I given spring.profiles.active.dev, right? Now let's see here what will happen. See the same property names you are having in the application.properties as well as application-dev.properties. But when you started your application, which property values it is trying to pick, just try to observe. If you observe here what it is, just okay, your expected error. Now if you just come back to this line, what is this? This is the line you have to see now. So the moment you started your application, see this time what it is saying. The following one profile is active dev. So you activated the dev profile. You activated the dev profile and where you added inside the application.properties. So that means in this case, what's happening guys, by default, whenever you started your application, whenever we started our application, immediately it is considering default properties file. So that means default properties file called as application.properties is being used always irrespective of profiles. Irrespective of profiles. And this from this profile it is observing developer given any active profile or not. First thing it will do that. Yes, he given dev. Then what it is doing is it is looking for application hyphen dev dot properties. Then it is looking for application dot hyphen dev properties. Then what it is doing, internally Spring Framework, Spring Boot, it is coming here and it is picking this database details. It is picking this database. But actually in my local computer, I don't have this username credentials, all these things, right? So that's why you are not able to obtain a connection, database connection. Username, unknown host name. Yes, obviously, right? Now let's make it to my local host only. See, assume it's a different host name, but I will show you. Here you will see in the default one, you given what local. In the dev one, you given dev, right? So that is how you can differentiate. But you with this I proved already what It is picking database details, these details, whatever you given here, it is picking here, it is picking from here, it is picking from here. Even if you want, I can show you that one also. Let's do one thing. I'll do one thing. At the rate value. So you know, right, how to read the properties data by using value, at the rate value. So what I will do is db hostname, db user, db password. Okay, so property name, username, password. Okay, so let's do one thing. I'll print all these details. Sys out of db details loaded. No. Actually, see, you will get anyway error. I know that. The reason is why, first of all, it is trying to establish the DB connection. So that's why your application is not started. So you can't hit this one. But anyway, I'm just showing that. I can do one thing. I'll remove this. So I given user defined host names point of view. So generally, but it will look only like spring dot data source dot like that. So then from where it will pick up, you can understand now. So in the dev point of view, DB details loaded now plus DB host name. Okay. So what I did is I given right now use a defined point of view. Okay. But internally what it will look generally when you started your application based on the JPA module, it will look only spring.datasource.url. So now can you guess your application is going to be started or not? See here. You are not given expected spring.data source, but still it is starting your application or not. See here. What happened? It is started, guys. How? That means the magic, I mean, that is what the point I said, right? The moment you started your Spring Boot application, first of all, it will consider default profile properties file called as application.properties. Then it will verify any active profile you given or not. Okay, let me write down in words. If if active profile set, then it will load. Else, 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 okay, else it will refer data from the application.properties. Point number one. Okay, cool, fine. Now, the moment you started, it is looking based on the JPA module, which properties spring.datasource.url. What it will do is first priority. Now, whenever you started, it is looking for internally, it is looking for a property called as based on your JPA module. What it is looking? It is looking for a property called as spring.datasource.url. This is looking for this property and its value. But actually, this property, is it existed in profile configuration file or not? File or not? Answer is no. So that means priority given to profile first. So what it is doing is this property is existed or not, like that it is verifying in this dev properties file first. It's not existed, then what it is doing is it is going and then it is going to the default. So that means priority given to the profile first. If existed, okay, I'll write like this. If existed, priority given to the profile first. If not existed, then checks in default, the default file called as application.properties. Application.properties. Here it is existed, yes. In this case, you have right. In the current right now, you have it. That's why it is started. Now see, even I deleted from here also. That means now whatever the property it is looking, it's not located in the dev, it's not located in the default also. Then what will happen? Again, you will get the JDBC connection issue. So that means see the hierarchy how they design, guys. If you set active profile, whenever it need a property and value, first priority given to the profile, active profile. If that property is not available in that profile file, then it will come back to the default profile. See now what it is saying, URL is missing. So that means in this case what happened? It's not existed here also. So that means it it's not existed in the dev. So overall scenario what happened now? Dev profile? No. Default profile? Default file level also the property is not existed. That's why you got URL is not found. So now see here, if I am giving this URL in the dev profile, now tell me my application will start or not? Yes. Why? This specific profile, this specific property and value, it is looking first in the dev only. It's existed and it is a valid value also. Now after that it will look for spring.datasource.username. It's not existed in the dev, but still it is existed in the application.properties. So that's why it will pick up from here. So finally, it will pick up from here. So that means application.properties is the file being automatically involved every time, whatever the profile you are setting. Okay, but the moment you set dev profile, it's not at all worrying about prod and UAT. It's just dev plus default. Dev plus default. Now send the request again one more time. So see here, what is this, guys? dev@dilipit.com. But if you go to the code, controller level, what you used, just contact that email. But based on the environment, based on the profile, earlier when I started with my local profile, you saw like local@dilipit.com. If I given dev@dilipit.com, dev@dilipit.com, and see all the DB details also. What is being printed here? See what is this? Dev DB, Dev Dilip, like that. It is picking the details. Okay, some mistake is there, I think, somewhere else. Yeah, here curly brace is missing. So that is out. So it is picking dev DB now. See dev. It's picking all dev data. Now similarly, prod, assume now you are deploying into prod. So you given all the prod details here. Okay, I don't have, if I'm giving again, it will pick up this information. So now let's stop this application and go to the active profile equal to, I am giving what? UAT I am giving. Now the moment UAT I am giving, what it will do, guys, it will look for spring.datasource.url mandatorily, but it's not. First where it will look into UAT. Is it available? Yes, available. So it will pick up this host name, it will pick up this URL, this username, passwords. But these are all valid. In my computer, I don't have with these host names. If you have, it will work. So then let me start my application. What I given? UAT. See, please remember, guys, whatever the profile name you given here, lowercase or uppercase, same thing you have to pass here. That's most important. And hyphen, not underscores also. So let me start my application again. And please observe here whether it is picking the profile name as it is or not. You can observe from here. If you see here, this time it is loading from which profile? Active UAT profile. So from here you can observe from which profile it is loading the data. Active profile. Sorry, UAT profile. Active is this time UAT. So what it is trying to do, that URL username it is picking from the here with a, so priority given to the UAT only first, profile one. So it's picking this, but these are all invalid host names I have in my computer. So I'm giving valid one. So if I'm deleting this, it will work, guys. Now tell me. Now my application is going to start. Password I'm not given. Yes, it will start. Why? It will look for password. The property spring.datarows.password. It's not there. Okay, somewhere some mistake is there still. Okay, JDBC colon at the rate localhost like that. Okay, I'll remove this property also. Okay, I'll just keep username. Now it will start means yes. The moment it is looking for URL, it's not there. Then it will go to the default. Okay, in default also it's not there. So that's why what will happen? See, you will get error. But this time it is loading from the UAT profile. Now I enable this and let's start this now. Would not resolve placeholder data source.url in value. Okay, I got it. So now you started with active profile, right? The moment you started with active profile, we are trying to load data from which property? Data source.url. Now this data source.url, it is looking into application.properties, default one. Sorry, first it will look into UAT level. Is it available, guys? No. It's looking into application.properties. Is it available? No. Which property? Data source.url. I given something shortcut, right? User defined point of view. Yeah, this one. Data source.url. So that's why it is failing because it's not existed in the UAT one as well as default one. But in earlier it is existed in the dev one. Okay, with this line, right? So that's why it got. Now let me copy same way UAT point of view also. Okay, I'm just making data source. Only thing is I'm just proving the data is picking up from this profile or not. Now see here I given UAT and contact name also what? Contact email ID also UAT. Now go here. Yeah, let me start my application. Spring.datasource.url, datasource.username, spring.datasource password. These three profiles this time not existed in the UAT. Okay, if there are those properties with active DB details, then it will work. Right now in my computer I don't have right 4 DBs. I have only 1 DB. So let me pick up that. But at least this data is picking means that's what giving priority. Now see your application will start successfully. This time the actual database details it is picking from where? From the default file only. That's why my application is started. But in the prod level, I given, okay, I started which profile? UAT profile, right? Yeah. So UAT profile level, I given this information. Let's go and verify, send the request now. See, it's a earlier one, right? Now let's send the request. It's sending UAT. And go and verify here DB details also. I mean, the configuration data, what you given. This data located in which file, guys? In the UAT file, UAT-DB, UAT-C Dilip, UAT like this. So that is how it is picking data from different profiles. If you are using profiles concept here, it is. So this is how in real now understand the flow whatever I explained earlier. So what we used to do is in real time applications I'm telling you. One thing is what we used to do is we will configure URL username password of. So we will remove these details. We will not maintain any point of time in our computer. I mean, in this case, I'll give dev1 in the dev level. I'll give URL prod1 in the prod level. UAT1 in the UAT level. Then what will happen? The moment you started with uh, active profile dev, it will, I mean, the moment you deployed into dev environments, I'll give active profile as what? Dev. So that means the moment I started into dev environment, I'll update it as a active profile as dev. Spring dot profiles dot. I mean, we can do generally this in one more way also. I'll explain tomorrow. Dev. The moment I given dev, what it will do? It will pick up only dev URL, username, password, and it will connect it to the dev database. The moment you given, when you are deploying into sit, you will give sit. When you are deploying into UAT, you will give active profile as UAT. You will give active profile as UAT. Then what it will do? It will pick up the data from the UAT file only. So same, that means you are giving the now the database details will be picked up from here and it will connect it to the source code will connect it to this database. When you given prod, it will connect it to the prod. So that means this URL, username, password, this three information you will configure here. So then it will pick up from there and it will connect it to your database. So like that, this property spring.profiles.active profile, whatever you given, it will. Can we give more than one profile means? Yes, we can give. Those are all use cases I'll discuss, guys. So I'll discuss few more use cases tomorrow related to profile. So it will take one more session also. Tomorrow also, we will try to understand. But this is how things will be. Configuration data is managed from one environment to another environment. So in interviews, they'll ask you same way how you are managing the configuration data in between different environments. So this is what you can tell them, profiles. Or if they are asking what is profiles, then you have to tell them all this story. So to maintain configuration data from one environment to another environment, different values, different data, then if you are using profiles and whatever the profile we activated based on the environment, it will pick up data from only that profile, and that means only that specific values. If you are changing that profile name to other one, then it will pick up values from that profile file only. So these are all things you will get in the interviews point of view also. Real time point of view, guys. Okay, 100% is real time. The moment is, that's why I said all this story. Now by saying this itself, you can realize it's a real time topic. This is true everywhere. Okay, so that is all for today. Let's continue from here only. Tomorrow we will continue from here only. Okay, so it will take one more session. It's not about properties. Sometimes we can load bean classes, component classes also based on the profile. Okay, so if you see here, this is a component, right? By default, it is an object will be created for this. But I can load this one, for example, based on the profile point of view, I can load it. Now it will load only for the dev environment. This bean object will be created only for the dev environment. If I activated with UAT, this bean object will not be created. Those details I'll show you tomorrow. But the main agenda is mostly configuration data is the primarily people will use profiles. Sometimes you will go with bean classes, I mean component classes as well as bean methods level also. We will see that information tomorrow.